Hello everyone, here I'm back in the video lecture and today we are going to discuss the bone growth and development. Basically in this we are going to study how bones grow, mature and maintain their basic structure throughout the lifespan. As you know, basically bone is a dynamic tissue, so it basically constantly forming and breaking down and reshaping in response to the body's need. So now, what is basically is the growth manner. So you can just say that in the early stage, in a very early stage, bone starts to grow even during the fetal development, as you know. As we age, our bone continues to undergo changes in both its composition and its basic structure during the whole lifespan. Some of these changes are part of the normal growth, while others occur due to remodeling throughout the life. So, majorly, there are two types of growth that we are going to discuss today, the longitudinal growth and the circumferential growth. Longitudinal growth, the growth in length, that means in the complete length. Like, let's begin with how bones grow longer. Okay, simple as that. So as you know, there are the longitudinal growth basically occurs at a specialized structure called epiphysis, and that is also known as epiphyseal plates. These are the cartilaginous discs located near the ends of the long bones. Okay, it is basically cartilage-like structure that are present in the ends of your bones. Okay, we can just scroll it down and in the picture we can see, okay, here you can see in the x-rays that this is the epiphyseal plate. This is not the fracture, it is basically the epiphyseal plate that helps you to grow longer or longer. Okay, so basically the mechanism behind that is on the diaphyseal side, like that means the shaft side of each of the epiphyseal plate. This side that has the shaft that is connected to the shaft is new bone cells are continuously produced, and this process pushes the ends of the bones farther apart, leading to an increase in length. Simple as that. If I can tell you that this is the area or that is connected to the shaft, basically continuously working on getting longer, okay, pushes the end farther apart, that these ends are going away from each other. So after that, in the end, your bones can increase in length. So your bones basically get longer. So closure of growth phase is basically when your bones have stopped making these cells at adolescence and basically at that time. So epiphyseal plates gradually disappears. When the plates closes, the bone fuses and the further growth in length stops basically. So as you know, if you can reach adolescent stage of your life, so your epiphyseal plates are gradually disappears, and at that time, your both of these bones, okay, this upper and this lower part that we have said that for move further apart, it basically fuses with each other, and now the further growth in length going to be stopped. Okay, and most epiphysis closes around age 18, although in some individual closure may occur as late as age of 25. So that means most of your time or most of your you have reached your uh, basically specific height at the age of 18 to 25. Okay, so this is basically as the biomechanics book said. Okay, but now there are researches that says that no, after that is basically also the growths are present. So second one is circumferential growth in width or diameter. That means your bone is going to be does not grow longer, now it grows wider. Okay, it basically get fat. So bones don't just grow longer, they also grow wider. So periosteal bone formation is basically that type of bone. Okay. When the growth in diameter occurs as long bones add bones tissues to their outer surface, that basically simply means that growth in diameter, that means you are going to add cells in a width pattern. You can just say that in this pattern, okay, this. In this pattern, okay, we can just remove those other lines so that we can know that. Okay, we can add cells in this pattern, not the longitudinal or long pattern length pattern. So that basically helps us to grow the bones in a wider direction instead of growing bones in a longitudinal direction. So what would happen in this pattern is the inner layer of periosteum is responsible for this because they are generating more and more cells. Okay, it lays down concentric layers of new bone, increasing the thickness and strength of the bone. Simple is that they are just adding the more cells into the layers. Okay, simple in very simple way. The periosteum is basically adding the concentric layers of new tissue on top of the existing one, and now the growth is going to be in a wider manner. You can just say that your growth is making the bone fat instead of making the bone long. Okay. So now the medullary cavity enlargement occur like new bone is being added externally. So bone is also reabsorbed internally, like reabsorbed basically internally around the medullary cavity. This dual process keeps the bone lightweight while maintaining the strong structural integrity. Okay, so that simply means that medullary cavity is basically if you can add new bone in externally. So now the bone that is present internally around the medullary cavity is basically going to be reabsorbed, okay, or eliminated. Simple as that. Around the circumference of the medullary cavity, as you know that we have discussed the medullary cavity before, so we are not going to discuss. Simple is that the internal soft portion is basically your making the medullary cavity. Most of the medulla is present inside of the bone, and cortical or cortex is present outside of the bone. Okay, so this dual process keeps the bone lightweight while maintaining strong structural integrity. Okay, because of this, bone is going to be lightweight and it is basically going to be strong. Now, the purpose of this basically, as you know, that the changes ensure that bones can handle bending stress, twisting stress, every kind of stress, majorly the torsional or the bending stress. Okay, the twisting stretches. So, as you know, that we have discussed two major types of bones. The one are the bone forming and other of the bone damaging or bone reabsorbing cells. So, osteoblasts are the bone forming cells. They build new bones during growth and repair. Now, the osteoclasts, they are just bone reabsorbing cells or bone damaging cells. They just break down old and damaged bone tissues and reabsorb them. So it is basically in healthy adults you have to maintain their balance. Osteoblast and osteoclast have to maintain their balance to basically simply ensure the bone maintains its shape, density, and strength. So, in the whole lecture, as we have discussed, that longitudinal bones occur at epiphyseal plates and stop at the plate closure, and the circumferential growth continues through life, helping bones adapt to mechanical stresses. And osteoblasts